Hi once again, everyone. Sports Underground back on the air after another 3 or 4 month hiatus. Mike and Kent are going to break down a little bit of Vikings action for you. It's been quite a long time since we've sat here, Mike. And in the meantime, of our predictions of the Vikings season going totally wrong, they're 8-6 right now and trying to peek their way into the playoffs.
Well, they are, and what did I say? I think they said 3 wins would be quite a feat for this team, and look, here we are knocking on the door of the playoffs. I still think that's a little bit of a stretch, but nonetheless, got to be pretty impressed with how they've managed to piece together a few wins here.
Yeah, I think 5-11 was like the absolute ceiling of what I thought was possible for this team. And yeah, they've definitely exceeded expectations, obviously due to Adrian Peterson and a better than expected secondary for some reason. Even with Chris Cook being hurt, they seem like they found some younger guys who can play. A.J. Jefferson, Josh Robinson, those guys have really stepped up and done a fairly nice job. And then Harrison Smith, of course, being the biggest addition.
Yeah, commenting on that, I think what a joy Adrian Peterson has been to watch this year. I mean, what a treat. First of all. Second of all, I think we mentioned today when we were watching the game against the Rams, our secondary wasn't, they were actually kind of fun to watch. They're actually making plays and doing things out there that...
Yeah, there's not a lot of guys running wide open. You look at last year and the year before, you'd see tight ends standing with no one around for 10 yards. Kind of nice to see that at least it seems like we've got some kind of a semblance of coverage out there.
And I think it maybe even starts and stops with Harrison Smith, even though he's a rookie, but what a great draft class we've had.
Yeah, he's made more plays in the safety position this year than I've seen maybe since, I don't know, Darren Sharper left, maybe.
Joey Browner,
But I mean, Sharper was known for making an interception or two here and there, and then we saw nothing from the safety position forever. And it kind of seems like Harrison Smith has taken the bull by the horns with that.
And I'm not going to put him in this league yet, but just think back at some of the more dominant safeties and teams that have had dominant safeties and where they've gone with them. You think of Troy Polamalu today. The Steelers,
right?
Kind of putting their mark, their stamp on their team, on their defense. So really important, maybe underrated to have a good solid safety like that.
Yeah, I think so too. The good thing, Adrian Peterson, out of this world. You just can't say enough good things about the guy, especially when you factor in the biggest disappointment in all of football probably, and that would be Christian Ponder. What an absolute disaster that is going on behind center.
Well, I can't think of a team that has it worse off than us. The Jets might be even better off. Blaine Gabbert might be a little bit better, but I'm telling you that right now I think we might be bottom of the basement. The Cardinals may be more of a mess.
Well, how bad does Joe Webb have to be if he just can't get a shot? I mean, because doing nothing is almost better than what Ponder's done. I know today, he had 160 yards, give or take. For him, that's quite an accomplishment because we've seen 5 games of under 100 yards and just complete futility
in a passing league that's embarrassing.
Well, and with Adrian Peterson, how much easier can it be for guys to be open? You would think with the threat of the play action pass. It just stuns me that we can't get a receiver open.
And some of it has to come down to the receivers, but a quarterback has the ability to make a receiver as well. And I think clearly that's not going to happen here.
Right.
But what do we do going forward here? Do we draft one? Do we find Joe Flacco or Alex Smith or somebody like that? Is Flynn out in Seattle going to be available?
I think that Alex Smith would be the kind of guy you'd be looking for here. Low money, probably not going to go out and command Joe Flacco money. Joe Flacco still thinks he's awesome. He's going to want awesome money. But Alex Smith, clearly done in San Francisco. I don't see any way where he comes back. Kaepernick's taking the reins, and they're going to let him steer the ship from now on.
Yeah, I kind of see how this scenario playing out. I see Kaepernick twisting an ankle or something in the playoffs, and here comes Alex Smith, up by 3 or something, or down by 3, what have you, and he just airmails one right to the other team and says,
yeah.
Thanks for having me around.
Yeah, thanks, Coach Harbaugh.
Yep.
I'm out.
Joke's on you.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah, Smith out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see that playing out. But anyway, no, Alex Smith is probably the kind of guy who's, like we said, manages a team well enough and doesn't lose you the game, maybe.
Well, you don't need flashy with us right now. You
don't.
The way Peterson is running the ball, and obviously next year you can't sit here and say we're going to be this dominant running the ball. But obviously everyone knows it's coming. There's 11 guys lined up that know
Yeah.
Peterson's getting the ball every single time.
And
and they still can't stop him.
just how good he is. That's
Right.
amazing. But
Alex Smith, he is the kind of guy that's not going to make mistakes, but he's still going to be able to take a chance and throw a ball in a spot where right now it looks like Ponder is just very tentative. He's not willing to try and thread the needle.
No,
and when he
no.
does, it's clearly a bad decision. Like he doesn't try and make the play at the right time. It's just kind of flip a coin. Hey, I have to try and stick this one in here now.
right, and I forget where I heard it, and you and I talked about it too, but it makes perfect sense where Ponder has a plan in mind, like the play is, we know the play, it's sent in, that's our play we're calling, but if that goes to hell, that's it for him.
Right.
He can't improvise, he can't make something up as he goes. His eyes are on that target. He's on Kyle Rudolph, let's say.
Yep, tight end post pattern,
That's
and
it.
we're
and if that's closed off, oh God.
Right.
We panic, we don't know what to do when we throw it out of bounds, or we check down and throw it at somebody's feet.
We are the king of checkdowns, and I've said it before. Our deep threat is the 4-yard out of bound pass. We have made that the single greatest play in Vikings history without fail. That ball has never been thrown in bounds in the 2 years Christian Ponder's been here.
Yeah, it's getting pretty rough.
So how much of this do you put on offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave, on the coaching staff, or do you think it is just Ponder's just not getting it?
I think that's it. I think they've tried to nurture him along, and there's got to be a cutoff point. I mean, I think we got to cut ties at some point here. I said that, by mid next year, if he's not better, but it's so bad now.
Well, when you look at this season, and in my mind, I'm thinking 2 or 3 games where anyone but Ponder, we either win the game or have a chance to. You're looking at a lot of veterans, Jared Allen, Kevin Williams. These guys have been around a long time. Antoine Winfield. Their chances of getting the playoffs are running out, little by little.
Well,
don't you owe it to them to get someone in here that could
No.
take this team to the playoffs?
That, and you failed to mention Adrian Peterson, which is a very special player, but nonetheless, 5 years in this league for a running back, it's almost like that's it for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to see the Marshall Faulks that played for 14 years or what have you, or
Well, you think about Sean Alexander. That guy was, a year removed from an MVP season, 20 touchdowns, and you never heard from him again.
And
Just done.
Yeah.
And
well,
Peterson, he seems to me to be more special than that, but at the same point in time, it can happen at any time.
He's elite. He's probably going to go down as top 5 running back, maybe top 2 or 3 or 1. I don't know.
Right.
He's obviously that special.
He is.
But nonetheless, when that's it for a running back, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
Well, look at LaDainian Tomlinson, too.
Right, but they're so easily to replace.
You're absolutely correct.
You can find a running back. Look at Arian Foster.
Yeah, but, okay, so replace, I get it, Alfred Morris drafted late, 6th-round pick, Arian Foster, that kind of thing. But how do you replace Peterson? Does any other back in the league that it's coming every time, you put 11 guys up there, does any other back do what he's doing? Is he the exception to we can find a running back
He's
rule?
too powerful. He's the Randy Moss in his prime.
Yeah.
You can't stop him.
Mm-hmm.
That's we've been blessed to have some pretty important players here, pretty special players, but that's it. Yeah, but I think you can still see when he breaks one, which is he's been doing one a game this last 6 weeks or more.
Right.
He's still got that hitch in his giddy up, and he runs out of gas. You can tell.
Yeah, today especially that second long run, the 50-yarder he had, you could tell because that guy barely touched him. And he sort of felt just like I just can't do this anymore. I'm pooped.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder how much week after week of this abuse on his body. His back not only has to be sore from carrying his team, but literally and figuratively, he's got to be wearing down this year. You can't say that because the numbers he's putting up on the field.
You're asking a lot of a human being,
Yeah.
especially coming off this surgery. Think of a guy like Priest Holmes. Think of a guy like Lewis.
Jamal Lewis.
Yeah, Jamal Lewis, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of ran the wheels off him, and they were the best at their trade for a year or 2 or 3.
Yeah, the Jamal Lewis thing's interesting because that offense was about as bad as our offense, and they did just run the wheels off that guy to get to that Super Bowl season.
Yeah.
Awesome defense and Jamal Lewis. That's all they had. And we have okay defense and Adrian Peterson.
We do. Our defense is nothing to sneeze at. I think it's all right. It's pieced together all right. We could, and that's that going forward. I think we can definitely upgrade in some spots. But what are we going to do? Get a free agent to come here? I think it starts with a quarterback.
Well, the weakness on our team, it sticks out wide receiver, quarterback. They go hand in hand. You're not going to get a receiver without a quarterback. You're not going to get a quarterback to come here and throw to these guys that we
one
have.
of those can be fixed in the draft, and I think that would be receiver. I don't trust to draft another quarterback. I don't like any of the quarterbacks coming out right now. I don't like Barkley. I don't like my USC quarterbacks.
Geno Smith, I want nothing to do with that guy.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'd rather take a chance on, well, we talked about that. I'd take any one of the 3 Heisman finalists this year on our team. Hands down. I really would take them.
Yeah, I would be okay with it. Yeah, Manti Te'o would be the guy for me.
I think that would be number 1 for me.
Yeah, if Manziel was eligible, I'd have to give it a hard thought. But he's had 1 good year of college.
Right.
Let's see 2, let's see 3. But yeah, we're missing, that really all-around middle linebacker. Brinkley's good against the run. Really can't cover you or me, in space.
No, but look at Von Miller does out in Denver. It's an important piece to that team. What if we marched a guy like Michael Vick in here?
I would like Vic, but I don't know for the way we're built to operate. He's the kind of guy you want because we have to win a turnover battle. We can't afford to do anything dumb. And, I guess now I'm going to be talking around myself again because I say that Ponder won't try and stick it in there. Vic probably does that a little too much, without Favre's horseshoe.
He's a little fragile for what we need because if we're putting all of our eggs in the Michael Vick basket, for God's sake, you better be around.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And obviously, I think it's pretty well known Vick's going to be available this year. But an interesting gimmick, I think, for the Vikings to maybe try. But it would have to come on the cheap.
I don't think we would offer him what he wants. I think you're going to have the Cardinals, maybe the Jets looking for his services, a bigger market. And if we could get Vic for $2 million, I would give him a try. He's obviously better than what we have.
Exactly, but I don't want to sacrifice signing somebody else at a different spot for him.
No, absolutely not.
Giving that money to him.
Right. And, as flashy as Michael Vick can be, I'd almost rather have Alex Smith. I know that sounds really weird. But,
he's younger and I think he's a little more durable.
Well, there's a little less wear on the tires.
Yeah.
How many more shots, just wide open blast does Michael Vick have to take before he just hangs it up? I mean, honest to God. He's taking a beating in Philadelphia.
Well, and then, continuing a little bit with the quarterback talk, if Dallas doesn't make the playoffs, does Romo become available? Also, you brought up an interesting name. Is Cutler available?
I think Cutler would be available, and I want no part of that guy. I mean, today was the classic Jay Cutler. We're losing the game.
So
I'm done.
Care.
I'm done.
You and I talked about that. Another guy, Phillip Rivers, kind of has that mentality.
Same, exactly.
Where it's like, well, we're losing. I don't care. I'm going to mail it in. Forget it. You guys suck.
Yep.
It's me. You guys suck.
Yeah, I'm good. It's your fault, not mine. I'll be okay. I'm still getting millions of dollars. I'm going to be able to sleep okay tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and today was pretty apparent. Body language tells a lot. And it's got to be hard to play for a guy like Cutler. Either hurt or pouty or whiny or just giving up. And I want no part of that on my team, especially when, for the most part, Winfield, Jared Allen, Peterson, they seem no matter what, they're always still in the game. They're still trying. They're still giving everything they got, even last year when the season was lost,
I guess with Cutler, when things are good, things are really good.
Oh, yeah.
When things are bad, he's not going to bail you out.
No, when it's rolling, he'll beat you 42-10.
Yeah.
He ain't going to beat you 13-12 because he's not that gutty. He just isn't.
No, but again, going back to the root point, it's better than what we got. But I mean, the 8 wins thing. We have 8. Do we finish 8-8? Do we finish?
Well, the next 2 weeks obviously are going to be tough. You're hoping the last week the Packers have nothing to play for. You need San Francisco to beat the Patriots. You need the Falcons to win one more game, just so they're going to be the 3 seed. Nothing's going to change it, and that's what you're hoping for. Because I don't think we can beat the Packers. Now, we could have beaten them in Lambeau. They weren't at full strength. Now they have Matthews back. They're going to have Woodson back. We have to play A+ ball, and they have to play B- ball for us to beat them. You need next week. The season's on the line. If somehow you can figure out a way to beat the Texans, you probably are in the playoffs.
I think that would guarantee them the playoff spot if they beat the Texans. But you're right; it hinges on all these games coming down to the end are very important. We know that.
And we have no tiebreakers on anyone, which stinks. Lost to the Redskins, lost to Seattle.
But going forward, if we miss the playoffs, I'd almost rather be 3-13. You know what I mean? Because we need to be drafting in a spot when we're down with the Jaguars and the And the Chiefs and the Raiders, those teams, because right now we're drafting. We're going to be behind teams such as Philadelphia. Teams that on paper are vastly more talented than us.
Right.
So
here's a question talking about that. Have we overperformed this year? Did we under-evaluate what we have? Or is the NFL just blah? I mean, is everything that equal where any week anyone can beat anyone?
Well, there's a mix of all three, and I hate to say that because I don't like committing to But did we under-evaluate the Vikings? Maybe a little bit, because when I think about this stuff, I think we do have some stars on some key spots. I mean, Jared Allen is a star in this league.
Mm-hmm. Chad Greenway's very, very
Chad
good.
Greenway's looking good. Adrian Peterson might be the best ever. Relax, but he might be.
Right.
Antoine Winfield is very well respected.
Mm-hmm. Blair Walsh is awesome.
Our kicker? All of a sudden a kicking game that we can rely on. Mm-hmm. Harrison Smith is no slouch. I bet you within 2 or 3 years everyone's going to know his name. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Right.
All of a sudden we got Khalil. We got some players at some key spots that all of a sudden are
Sullivan, pretty good center.
Solid or good.
Right.
And it just seems like we have a little bit more cohesiveness this year.
Mm-hmm. They do seem to get there's no trouble, and that's not that makes a team better, but it seems like they're all. You don't have any guy sort of mailing it in or not liking his role.
Right. I think, are they overachieving? I think they are humping that 49er win in week 3 for its full value, because without that, I think we are 3-13.
Yeah.
Without that confidence kick, I think that was the season already. That win was huge. Huge.
Well, you can tell. I think I've seen a lot of growth in this team from the first, Jacksonville game where, we squeak it out by the skin of our teeth. Should have lost that game. Go into Indianapolis, get beat, come back, beat San Francisco. I don't know what that team was back then compared to now. We look a lot more professional. We're not getting burned, like the Jacksonville game. Our defense, we're not giving up a lot of big plays. It seems like we're playing smart. We're playing to our strength. Keep them in front of you. Try and keep the game close. Peterson can break one.
And we were always hard on him, but maybe we owe a little bit to the coaching staff, a little bit, because it's tough. Because I'm not all that impressed with our coaching staff either, because it was just the easy pick. But maybe they are doing something right. I don't know.
Well, it looks like Alan Williams, the new defensive coordinator, has kind of a pretty decent plan in place. He seems to know what's going on. Frazier, I don't know. I'm not impressed with him because he just sort of stands on the sidelines and doesn't do anything.
He's just sort of neutral. He's just sort of did he lose the game? I don't know if he lost it. Did he win it? I don't know about that either.
Well, I know a lot of people are upset about Musgrave, but obviously if you can make a running game with our passing game being so bad, that guy's got to know what he's doing a little bit. I mean, to make it work when everyone knows it's coming, something to be said for that. And obviously the health of the offensive line, playing together every week, not mixing and matching pieces in, I'm pretty sure that has had a huge effect on the running game. The fact that they're getting used to, they know exactly what each other's going to do. They've been pretty cohesive all year.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty big deal.
I think it is too. But that's why we love and watch the game, is because anybody can win any time of the week, and anybody. Well, all this stuff changes. Like, look, it evolves, it breathes, it lives. People get injured, and.
Well, when we started doing this show, it'll be going on 2 years, I guess, in March. I used to love the Vikings, love watching the Vikings. You start doing the show, and you get caught up in I want to be right.
Yeah.
I wasn't enjoying football like the Vikings as much as I used to, because I just want to be right. If I sit here and tell you they're going to be bad, I want them to be bad. The last few weeks for me, I've actually started enjoying football again. Just sitting back, watching what Peterson's doing, and maybe I'm not too big to admit I was wrong. Just say I missed out. I said Peterson wasn't going to be a factor this year, but that's probably about the dumbest thing that ever come out of my mouth now, if you look at it.
But back up and knowing what we knew then, we didn't know if he was going to play till week 6.
Yeah, I know.
Knowing what we know then, I didn't. We had a debate on whether Peterson was going to contribute to this team at all this year.
Yeah, be relevant at all, and I think we both agreed no.
Right, not enough.
But then of course we thought it was going to be a 3 or 4 win team. Why try and run the wheels off him? But,
and we did. We both missed. Yeah. But
yeah,
that's what it is. You're right, and I like fantasy football has also kind of ruined the game for me a little bit too.
Yeah, it has, because you don't enjoy the game. You just are watching your guy.
Right.
Why'd you hand off to that guy? I really need this touchdown.
I don't want Joe Flacco on my team because he doesn't throw for 385 yards. He throws for 185 yards.
Right.
And that's not doing anything for my fantasy team, but he wins games.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, he did win games. I don't know what's going on now.
What's going on now? It's kind of the wheels fell off that. But
I'm fairly excited about the future of the Vikings. I sat here last year and I thought we needed 1 million pieces. Spielman's draft was pretty good. You got,
but he's got to hit 2 or 3 of those.
We need to get Packer depth. Because of our front line. If Harrison Smith goes down, we're probably back to where we were in the secondary last year. Matt Khalil goes down. We're not deep anywhere.
No.
And
well, we got to make some wiser decisions in free agency.
You mean like John Carlson?
Like that, exactly. But make some wiser decisions. Like this guy might not be our starter, but he's a hell of a backup. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, this guy was signed for this purpose, and it's not a lot of money, but we're going to try him out. He can play if we need him to play.
Well, you still look at that John Carlson signing. It seems like we just threw $5 million out there because we just needed to spend some money. Jerome Simpson, I didn't mind the signing of him. Obviously, it doesn't look like it's worked. Is it his fault? Is it Ponder's fault? He's been hurt all year. But that was low risk, low reward. We just can't afford to do another Carlson thing this year where we just sort of throw money out there to say we did something.
I think I agree wholeheartedly, but we do have to make those pay off. We have to make a draft pay off this year. Maybe we get quality instead of quantity this year. Who knows?
You mean quantity instead of quality? Because we got quality last year. We went big.
Right.
Now maybe we can
vice
fill
versa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe we can trade down, make some moves, and be a little bit smarter that way. But
well, I would think receiver, obviously #1 need on this team. Maybe some linebacker depth, a little depth on the offensive line, and then after that, do what you got to do. But I think those are the 3 areas where we really need to hit gold, and maybe not, Pro Bowl middle linebacker, but maybe a guy that in a year or two is going to be a 120 tackle, middle linebacker guy to run the defense and be able to cover a tight end at some point.
Yeah. What do you think about Percy Harvin?
Well, that was my next point. That's the elephant in the room. What happens to him? As we sit here right now, I don't see him back as a Viking. It seems like this ankle injury kind of was an excuse to just get away from the team because started in training camp, and it's sort of just kind of festered all year. Under the radar, no one wants to talk about it, but, I sat here and said they all seem like everyone gets along pretty well. He's the one guy who doesn't fit that mold right now.
This has a really bizarre feel, doesn't it?
It does.
A really bizarre kind of feel, and maybe you go back and we rewind a little bit farther with the migraines. It's like a concussion. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't look, you can't point somebody and say you're injured.
Mm-hmm.
Were those real? I mean, I'm just saying, and I don't want to question the guy. Maybe it is. Maybe the ankle is real. Maybe he'll be back and everything's fine next year. We don't know.
Well,
but
it just seems like
such a weird feel, and I don't know
as hard as he's tried to get back on the field before, and this ankle injury, he can't get back out there when we're kind of in a playoff run.
Yeah,
it just seems weird that last year at 3-13 he was fighting through injuries to stay on the field, and this year he can't. It just something's not right. I don't know. Like you say, I don't know what it is. I'm not accusing the guy of anything, but it's just odd.
It's really easy to speculate on it, isn't it?
It is.
It just feels a little bit weird. But I'll tell you though, if we do have a bargaining chip in him, obviously it's losing value.
But as far as the bargaining chip, what he did is probably the best thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Just you're hurt. Yeah. Go away. Yeah. That's fine.
So that we don't hurt you.
Right, and no one will see any infighting. If there really is a problem with him, it's gone away now.
Right.
It is what it is. You're on IR.
So all of a sudden we have a bargaining chip and say, hey, we have this draft pick and we have this player and we have this and we're looking at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're targeting one guy. We want him.
Or we're looking at this draft pick. Mm-hmm. Here's a package deal for you.
Right.
So all of a sudden, Harvin's got 1 more year left and he's pretty cheap and now he becomes somebody else's problem.
Right.
Because bottom line also, there's durability issues too.
There is, and it stinks because the guy's a tremendous talent.
He is.
He's a reason you go to watch football games. Yep. Him and Peterson. They're the reasons you go to watch the Vikings.
And it's just he's so tough. And in the same sentence that I say there's injury concerns, but he is.
Yeah, on the field he doesn't go first hit, never gets him down. He fights through things. He's fun to watch, and and it stinks that we're having this conversation because you like to think he's one of those guys going to be a Viking for a long time, and I don't see it.
I think he's going to go on to I think he's going to go on to bigger and better things, but I just hope that there's something in the works out there that gets us a little bit of value out of him.
Yeah, I think so too, and I hope I'm wrong about this. I hope that we sit here next time we talk and go, "Oh, we're wrong about Percy. Thank God."
Yeah,
because sure would love to have him on the team forever.
Yep.
So we sit here. Vikings are on the outside of the playoffs looking in. Packers have clinched the division. Bears are in a free fall. Got a 3-way tie out east. We need a lot of things to happen for us to get in the playoffs. But at this point, we almost have to get there. It was a wasted season, wasn't it?
Yep,
Because
it
we get
is.
nothing out of the draft. And if we don't get to the playoffs, 8-8's like kissing your sister.
No, right. Yeah, we can hang our hat on that we came a long ways and, the old back slaps, but that's not enough. God, we really do need it.
Will we look back at missed opportunities like, oh, if we only would have beaten the Packers. Oh, if we only would have beat the Redskins. I mean, we let some games get away. Oh, the Colts game.
Colts game
going to haunt us that we're this close, and it could be a wasted season.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I said,
the Wild are famous for that, being 3 games out of a playoff spot and losing to the Islanders twice. They are.
I know why we can't beat the Islanders. It makes no sense to me.
Whenever we go to East, it's just a mess. But
yeah, so just a little bit of Vikings talk. Obviously, we're not even done with the season yet, so we don't know who's staying, who's going.
Right.
But we haven't been on the air for quite some time, so
just do something to keep a little active, a little updated, and stuff like that. But I just wanted to wrap around the NFL a little bit, just see what's going on a little bit with who you think's going to be in the playoffs. Obviously, the Super Bowl going through Philadelphia isn't going to happen this year, my pick. And the Packers did make the playoffs. I said they weren't. But the Saints probably won't make the playoffs.
No, the Saints won't. I don't think the Lions are winning the division. I did predict that. But for the most part, Denver, a little better than what I thought they were going to be. I said that they would win their division but not be a factor in the playoffs. I think I was probably wrong about that. Houston's going to win their division. We were right about that. New England, obviously, there's nothing else out east to talk about. And then you've got the same mess in the north you always have. It's Cincinnati, it's Baltimore, it's Pittsburgh. And, right now Baltimore's still in the driver's seat, but they're kind of in a free fall. It's the Bengals. The Bengals have a pretty good chance to steal that division. And Pittsburgh, crushing loss today. They're in some trouble. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. And then, you go to the NFC, you got a 3-way tie out east. Redskins, who I thought were done, I'm still not sold on them, but somehow they keep winning no matter who's quarterbacking. So maybe RG3 isn't that important to their team. I don't know. Cowboys, they're left for dead all the time. I still think they're going to fall apart because they always do. And the Giants will probably win the last 2 games and win the division probably.
Yeah, that big loss today though, but
crushing loss.
But the Giants, I think everyone's getting excited for their run again this year, but it doesn't happen every year.
No, it doesn't.
They do have a history of it, but it doesn't happen every year.
You have the 49ers look like they're going to win the West.
Still a tough team, but don't sleep on Seattle because they looked pretty good the last couple of weeks.
Well, when we were talking earlier, before the season or right after the season started about our surprise teams, I think Tampa Bay was a team we talked about, maybe Buffalo.
Tampa Bay had a good season.
They did, but obviously didn't. With their free agent signings, would have thought a little more on them possibly. Yep. I mean, new coach and everything. But Seattle's a team that there's a surprise to me.
By far, I thought they were going to be Vikings bad.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't see them winning more than 5 games themselves.
Well, I didn't think they had a quarterback. They signed Matt Flynn. Who's Matt Flynn? But Russell Wilson. You can't talk about Andrew Luck and RG3 without mentioning Russell Wilson. He's had a heck of a good year.
Yeah, you can't say anything bad about him. He really can't. He might be the real deal. Who knows? But
and I'm not a Pete Carroll fan. I cannot stand watching Seattle, especially in those god awful gray uniforms they had on today. But you got to respect Pete Carroll for the fact of he actually made it an open competition, and the best guy got the job. Because you hear coaches, oh, well, the best guy will get the job. Christian Ponder had no chance of losing that job for the Vikings. And it's kind of refreshing to see that actually did happen.
That's good. That is good. Great.
So, who is your NFC champion right now? As we sit here today, what team wins the Super Bowl? Or gets to the Super Bowl?
Gets to the Super Bowl? Those Atlanta Falcons look pretty tough.
Well, at home, they're almost impossible to beat.
And that's what I mean. It looks to me like they're probably going to get home field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that the 49ers can't? They can.
They could, but Atlanta would have to lose out. The Niners have 10 wins, too. They'd tie them at 12.
And home field going through Atlanta is probably going to be pretty tough. I guess right now, why not Atlanta?
It's,
they got a pretty good mix.
They do.
Their defense and their special teams and their offense is pretty finely tuned.
Yeah, and Packer fans will sit here and say we're hating on the Packers, but there's been something off with the Packers all year. I know they're winning the division. They're just They're just not that impressive. And so I think it's Niners and Atlanta, and it is tough to win in Atlanta. But God, I like the Niners' chances going in there and getting a win. So
if there's a team that can.
I'm gonna pick the Niners, and just because Atlanta always fails in the playoffs, I'm gonna stick with history.
They do. Yeah, I know. I had a hard time saying it, but it's almost like they're like a forgotten team. Atlanta's.
They're winning that division. That's right. Because you always think New Orleans is the team down there.
But they're kind of quietly doing it. They're not getting a lot of publicity. They're not on Sunday nights. They're not on Monday nights. They're just doing it down there. And no one knows much about them, but they've got some weapons down there that they're capable of.
Yeah, offensively, they can be as explosive as anyone in the league. Absolutely.
And I think your other team, what do you think? AFC?
AFC right now looks like Denver and New England, and I like my chances with the Patriots. All they do is win, and until you beat them, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I don't see anyone beating them right now.
I think they showed exactly. They exposed the Texans pretty bad. Mm-hmm. They showed exactly to the Texans who's boss still.
Well, yeah, but it's just, no matter who plays them, they find your weakness and they just exploit.
And I would still never count out Peyton Manning if he played on a high school team.
Right.
Honest to God. Mm-hmm. I mean, we talk about how special Adrian Peterson is.
Right.
He's equally as impressive. He might be the best ever. You can make a case.
Well, I've said for years that he's the best football player I've ever seen.
I think he's that good.
Yeah, and
so you want to count out Peyton Manning, be my guest,
right?
But those two, I think you're right. I think those four teams come right down to it, and it might be kind of a fun Super Bowl to watch. Falcons
Broncos, Niners Broncos would be fun. I think Niners and New England, as we sit here watching the game right now, that would be probably a pretty fun Super Bowl.
I think Niners Falcons would be all right because I think there'd be a lot of offense.
Yeah, but Niners Falcons can't play in the Super Bowl.
Did I say Niners Falcons? I meant Patriots Falcons.
Yeah, it would be fun. And if there's a weakness of the Patriots, it is their defense. Now you couldn't tell it from last week against the Texans.
No, but they'll just outscore you.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as the Giants don't get there, you gotta like the Patriots' chances. If the Giants show up in the Super Bowl,
forget it.
It's over.
It is done. Remote, it doesn't matter.
Put everything you got on the Giants because it ain't happening. So
those are kind of the four easy teams to pick. But do you see any sort of upset or any sort of left hook coming from outside?
No, I'd like to say the Bengals might have a shot of upsetting someone because they're quietly pretty good, but I don't see it happening. And in the NFC, the Packers would be the only team that I could see could upset some people, but I'm not sold on them. I'm not impressed with the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is really good, and the rest of his team really isn't. They don't run the ball. They drop a lot of passes, and I'm sorry, in playoff football, James Jones, knock yourself out. Let's see if you and Randall Cobb, if you can do it in the playoffs, there you go.
You passionately do not like the Packers, do you?
I do not like them at all. Yes.
How about Seattle? I think they can go to San Fran and win. I don't think they can go to Atlanta and win.
No,
and to be honest with you, I don't know if they could go to Green Bay and win either.
No, I don't. They're pretty young now. Sometimes what you don't know is okay.
Right.
And if you look in the history of Lambeau, when Michael Vick ran through him that 1 year in the playoffs, Russell Wilson is the kind of guy who could tear you apart, on the right day. But I guess in talking about him, if RG3 comes back, is he the kind of guy that can single-handedly run you to the Super Bowl?
I was going to bring up a second team. What about Washington? Is their defense good enough to hold up?
I don't think so. We've now talked about every team in the NFC, by the way. I think everyone can get to the Super Bowl now.
But I'm just saying just some surprises out there. But
Washington, I guess, surprise, because if the Packers went to the Super Bowl, no one's surprised with the Packers. No. So Washington would be a team in the AFC.
I don't think so. I think you got a 3-team horse race there. Broncos, Patriots, and Texans. Do you throw in Baltimore?
No.
Do you bother?
I see 2 and 2. I see Atlanta and the Niners, and I see the Patriots and the Broncos. And
I think so too.
That's where
I guess I'm being respectful of Texans' record.
Yeah, but they're 2 big chances. They got blown out by the Packers and blown out by the Patriots.
It seems like they're getting tired or something, or it's kind of wearing.
Well, they're front runners too. When it's good, it's very good. They'll beat you, and they'll come back on Lions. They'll come back on teams like that. Once these good teams get them down, like look at the Packers and look at the Patriots. They put a whooping on them, and they had no answer for them.
Yeah.
And if you can take away Arian Foster, and they make them be one-dimensional, other than Andre Johnson, Owen Daniels is all right. They don't have another weapon. And
Andre Johnson isn't what he used to be either.
No.
He's putting up. He's
good. Right.
He's good, but he's not what he used to be.
But the Texans need to run the ball to be successful. If you can get ahead of them, and kind of take Foster out of the picture, looks like they're a pretty easy team to beat.
Yep. I guess I'll give you the Colts as maybe a surprise team. But
surprise getting to the playoffs. That's what Andrew Luck has done is nothing short of amazing. That team is terrible.
It is, but if they made it to the Super Bowl, you'd have to pick up my jaw off the floor.
Oh,
I mean, obviously, but
yeah.
But I think if they made some noise in the playoffs, I wouldn't be that surprised. Again, a team like Seattle that would be like, we don't know any better.
Right. I would see Seattle doing something before I would see the Colts doing something.
I think so too. I think they're
the Colts look like they're going to make the playoffs. I don't see them winning the game.
No, I don't either. I'm just saying, if there's, if you got to pick an upset one here or there, that would be my team.
All right, we're going to close this up here because otherwise we're going to talk for about 2 hours since it's been so long. That's the thing that stinks
Exactly.
when we don't do this often enough. I want to end with 2 questions. Rookie of the year.
No, don't do that.
Just short answer. I don't want
RG3.
explanation. RG3 and MVP.
Well, I got to go with my guy. Yeah, I got to go with Adrian Peterson. I have to.
Well, if he breaks the record, he definitely wins it. Peyton Manning, obviously, they're neck and neck. Comeback, everything. And then my rookie of the year is Andrew Luck. The Redskins proved to me today you don't need RG3. So I'm going to go with Andrew Luck as my rookie of the year. And Russell Wilson, a very, very close third behind both.
Obviously, right.
So, well, thanks for watching, guys. We'll try and get some more stuff out here a little quicker than every 4 months. Funny how family and life gets in the way of doing something like this. So thanks for checking us out. Hopefully we get some views on this. And we'll talk to you real soon right here on the Sports Underground.